Okay, I'm always telling people I have several of the books that I read on my channel typed up and in a file which is in Google Documents. And Google Documents is shareable. I can share any book that anyone wants to read for themselves. They can listen to me read it, or they can read it themselves, or both. So I'm going to go through some of the books that are on my playlist, which I've got this page here showing me so I remember again what it is I've done. And I'll tell you a little bit about what it is and whether or not that is one that I have typed up. First of all, A Call at Dawn. Yes, I have that. That was written by a man, and that's him right there, that picture, Kelvin Rowe. And he lived across the street from where I lived, and I didn't even know it. That was when I lived in California. By the time I found out about him, he was dying of cancer. But this man has had the experience of getting to know space brothers from Jupiter and Pluto. And he went up in their craft, and he talks about it in this book. And that's a hard book to get a hold of because there's not many out there circulating. But you can get it from me. I've got it all typed up if you'd like that. It's all about his experiences with our brothers from other planets. It's very wonderfully written, and he was just a simple man, but he had really great experiences. But most people around him didn't believe him. You know how people just won't believe anything unless it happens to them. Okay, going on down here, there's this, I've got my little hand pointer over it. Book 1, Book 2, and Book 3 of the Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East. And that is a series of books by Bayard Spalding, and he and a party of researchers, about 14 or so of them, went to India in the late 1800s, and they met the masters, and they learned from the masters, and it's very astonishing and revealing and wonderful to read these books. I even have Book 4, but I have it called something different than Book 4. I call it Bayard Spalding Explains the New World Order. I did that intentionally because there's so much interest in the New World Order. Mostly people are afraid of it. But there is a new era that we're going to live in that's on us right now, I think. And so Book 4 does a lot of talking about that. Because the social reorganization has to happen. We can't continue on the way we are. But it's nothing like the Illuminati and all the fearful things people think about that. So you would like Book 4. Okay, going on down here, I've got one that's called Cosmic Journeys. Now, a friend of mine that I met online sent me that book. It's a woman, Rosalind McDonald, and she was one of the explorers with Robert Monroe who went on out-of-body journeys in his laboratory where you just sleep, but you're really awake, and you listen to his hemisync that puts you into that place where you can journey out of your body. Anyway, you'll understand it when she talks about it extensively and tells you how it was done. It's really good, very revealing. Okay, coming on down here, I see a lot of things that other people do that I like, that I put on my playlist. Okay, here is one. Janathan Livingston Seagull. I don't think I have that book, but I do read it on my website. You'll really like that. And Illusions, that's another one. I think that is. Let's see, Illusions, yeah. Yeah, that was another one by Ken Carey. And it's so very good. He's someone who is flying airplanes, you know, into fields and letting people take rides in his airplane. And he meets this person who shows him a different way of being. That's so, well, it's a story, but it could be real, because all the things that he talks about, I believe, are possible. Anyway, let me go on down and see what other books I have. Janathan, Love Without Conditions. That's very good. Love Without Conditions. I have that. I can send that to people, or you can hear me read it. And further on down, I see that I have Resurrection. This is a Neville Goddard, and it's very good. He talks a lot about the dual nature of consciousness and how we can transmit our thoughts. Very good. Seth Speaks. I don't have that book. I read that right off of the computer here because there was someone who posted it. And the funny thing, when I was doing Seth Speaks, they took it off before I finished, and I only had one more of the series to do. I think one or two more 10-minute of the series would have finished the book out, but I didn't get to. And I haven't found that book on the shelf yet again in any library. I still will look for it, but most of it is on these playlists here. Seth Speaks. Very good for understanding the nature of reality. This was by Jane Roberts, and she channeled this information. Okay, let's see, looking on down. The Divine Illiad. And the Divine Illiad 1 and 2. And you will love that. Walter Russell, I have several of his books that I read. And these I also have in my library, and I can send them. I also have the 4 Agreements. That's really good. I read that too. And I have that book that I can send. Further on down here, there's The Impersonal Life by Brenner. It's really good. And there's one called The Kabbalion, but I don't have that typed up. I read that offline. I read that on a website. Here's a good one. You'll like that. The Light Shall Set You Free. This is by Norma Milanovich. And it's very informative, and it's a lot of words from our ascended masters that we don't really know them that well, but when you read this, you'll know them a lot better. Okay, The Man Who Tapped Into the Secrets of the Universe. That's Walter Russell. It's about him. And let's see. The Return of the Bird Tribe. Very good, by Ken Carey. And this book speaks so much about peace and the need for peace, and how the Indian nations achieved a confederacy where they had to believe in peace more than believing in continuing with the war. Okay, and here is another one, The Return of the Dove. I have that. That's a book by Margaret Storm, and the second half of this book tells all about Nikola Tesla. You'd like that if you're a Nikola Tesla fan. And it's a very good book. The Secret of Light, that's another one. And The Secret of Light is another one by Walter Russell. And it's a little technical, but not nearly as technical as the book that I read, which I don't have typed up, called The Universal One. But I do have it in all the charts, and I better hurry because I'm about to run out of 10 minutes. Then I have The Way of the Wizard, and I can send that one to anyone. I'm just about done here. Yeah. And I have this one called The Teacher, but that is actually from the book called The Way Out, which I also have that. The Way Out is by Brenner, Joseph Brenner. It's very good, especially the part of it that says for the teacher, because it asks you some very hard questions that you have to do some soul searching in order to answer. So any of these books that I've mentioned, almost any of them, I have that book, and I can send it to anyone interested. And I love to. All I need is you to let me know your email address, because without that I can't send it to you. Anyway, thank you for listening, and let me hear from you. Bye.